2027 will not be business as usual. Nigerians must rise to that task. 2027 will not be rigging as usual. If you are planning to rig in 2027, better stop, because Nigerians won't accept it. Welcome to the Diary of a Broken Man, where we dissect political, economic, and social issues concerning our country, Nigeria, and Africa as a whole. And we continue with our topic on anyhowness in Nigerian system, where we talked about what causes anyhowness and how we can remedy ourselves from that situation of anyhowness. Remember to do the usual. Remember to subscribe, share, like, and comment. So the last time we were talking about social contracts, and we cited John Locke, Thomas Hobbes, and some other philosophers who talked about social contract and what social contract means. It means that people come together instead of, in the state of nature. Everything, according to Thomas Hobbes now, was in a state of disarray. Might was right. The strongest man owns everything, controls everything, People were doing their things based on strength and braggadocio. So now it's time for us to build a society of men. And so for us to progress, everybody must submit their will. When we say will, it means their right, that their might to go out and hunt and kill. And so we submit our will so that we create a system a sustainable system for a society. And so social contract becomes necessary. Whatever we see as government today is what we know as social contract, where we submit our wills under a leviathan. The leviathan now means the government, who acts as the custodian of law and order. They provide law and order, and because we've submitted our wills, we obey that law. So broken social contract is one of the problems we have in Nigeria. You see, the government is not doing what they are supposed to do, and the people also are not doing what they are supposed to do. And what do you have? We have an anarchical situation. People doing everything anyhow, from the government down to the least person in Nigeria anyhow. So we continue. Next one is public disillusionment and apathy. You see, when the government is not functioning, what you get is apathy. You tell people to go and vote. They tell you the one they voted the last time, where did it count? You tell people to do this. They remind you of the apathy of the government, or they find an excuse. Everybody is, complacent in maybe doing the wrong thing because there is, that sense of belonging is not there. So that disillusionment is what we want to discuss now. Now, decades of governance failure have led to voter apathy and disillusionment. Voter turnout has steadily declined as citizens feel that political elites recycle candidates without delivering progress. This is compounded by a political culture that rewards loyalty to ethnic or religious affiliations over competence. You see, what we are seeing from APC government, from Muhammad Buhari to the present government, tribalism, it's nepotism to the highest order. Whoever climbs all his cronies and friends and anybody who was loyal to him gets something from the government, and every other person is left with nothing. So tribal affiliation must play a huge part in the sense of things for people like this. They will always defend the bad government of the president because he is from their tribe. My tribe. Nigeria is no longer some Nigerians now are no longer asking, is the government doing the right thing? Once he is from my tribe, I will defend him, irrespective of what he's doing. How bad it is, it doesn't matter. I will defend him. He's from my tribe, which is really bad. Another thing is ethnic and regional divides, which leads from the old one that we talked about. Now, Nigerians' diverse ethnic landscape with over 250 ethnic groups, as we've said before, contributes to anyhowness in governance. Political competition often fuels ethnic and religious rivalries, leading to policies that favor certain groups and overlooks others. Okay? For example, the Biafran Civil War from 1967 to 1970 and the ongoing separatist agitation in the Southeast stem from perceived marginalization. These divisions create a fragmented approach to governance, where national unity is undermined by parochial interests. Another thing is civil society and resistance. Now, despite governance challenges, Nigerian civil society, particularly the youth, has shown resilience in demanding for accountability. You see what happened in 2020 with the NSAS protest. Nigerian youths came out, and so far, Nigerian youths have been active. Some Nigerian youths, let me not overgeneralize, because some are busy defending the ills of this government. Blatantly defending it. Even the worst of things, they defend. Okay? So the NSAS movement, demonstrated a hunger for better governance. And then you see the way they rallied around the Labour Party candidate, Mr. Peter Obi, who showed a sign of supporting the youth. The youth came out and, people were just behind the man because they felt he represented their mind in the government. Unfortunately, people could say he won the election, but he was rigged out. And so it continues. The cycle continues. However, the government's response often involves crackdown on protesters and the media, reinforces perception of disorder and authoritarianism. Another thing is cultural and historical context of anyhowness. That's another thing we look at. Now, the perception in Nigeria of anyhowness is also rooted in Nigeria's historical and cultural context. The colonial legacy. Okay? Now, Nigeria's structure, inherited from the British colonial rule, was designed to manage diverse regions, but often exacerbated ethnic tensions. The amalgamation of the Northern and the Southern Protectorate in 1914 by Lord Lugard created a central system that struggled to accommodate regional diversity, laying the groundwork for governance and challenges. Another thing is military rule that ensued and the instability that came with it. Now, Nigeria experienced prolonged military rule from 1966 up until 1999 when Obasanjo took over power. So, it was marked by coups and corruption which disrupted institutional development. Now, the history of instability has left a legacy of weak governance and a culture of impunity. Now, cultural norms and informality becomes another problem. In some courses, or in some cases, anyhowness reflects cultural tendencies towards informality and adaptability. People want their culture to be obeyed over the laws of the country in general, and sometimes the laws of their religion, as we've seen in some part of Nigeria where some people's religious laws now overrides the supremacy of the constitution of the country, which is wrong because Nigeria is a secular state. So, for instance, bending rules or using personal networks to navigate bureaucracy is common in Nigeria. They say, who knows who? Somebody graduates with first class and somebody with third class gets the offer of the job just because he knows who knows who knows who. They make calls, and so he gets the position over the person who is qualified for the job, which is bad. So, however, these can perpetuate inefficiency and undermine formal processes. Next one is public sentiment. When you open X, for instance, you see posts of people that reflect widespread frustration with the anyhowness in Nigerian system. Even on Facebook, on Instagram, people are crying out. Okay, users highlight a lack of rule of law, where the powerful manipulate institutions, eroding public trust. There is a class divide, with the ruling elite exploiting the masses severely, rather than ethnic conflict being the primary issues. Another thing is arbitrariness, arbitrary government actions, leaving citizens vulnerable to systemic dysfunction, such as the police, and the judicial inefficiencies. These sentiments underscore a perception that the government operates without clear principles, reinforcing the term anyhowness in Nigeria and brings more criticism to the country. Now, addressing anyhowness. To mitigate the perception and the reality of anyhowness in Nigeria, several measures have to be taken. And this is time for truth telling. We have to tell ourselves the truth. So these measures include strengthening these institutions. You remember James Robinson and Darren Ashmoglu in their book, Why Nations Fail, they divided two states of development. One is extractive institution, the other is an institution that is for growth and development. You see, when you have extractive institutions where a few elites control everything and want to, be the Lord and Master over everything, the country can never grow. In that book, he enlisted so many countries or so many kingdoms that could have been, somewhere very high. But because of elites with extractive mentality who want to gather everything to themselves, own everything, be the Lord and Master of everything, everybody stays low. There's no development, no growth, no creativity. And that is what Nigeria is suffering from. Because a few people want to control everything. You see somebody who contested for election in 1999, still 1980, 1970, still coming out in 2023 to do what? To do what? Can't you be an advisor somewhere? We consult you when there is need for consultation or for experience or expertise. We come and meet you. You give us your candid experience and the candid advice. No longer to be, when you look at African leaders, you get ashamed. You see, when there is a meeting of world leaders and you are looking at other countries, you are looking at the United States, you are looking at France, you are looking at other countries. It's not that they are the best in what they do, but you look at African leaders, some of them 32 years in seat, doing nothing. And you wonder what people do with all this money that they steal. I mean, they steal to the extent that money comes out of their nose. They wear the best of watches, the best of clothes in the world, the best of shoes, the best of cars, the best of this and the best of that. And when you are driving those best of cars on bad roads, what does it signal? That you are a failure as an individual. And some of them will seek third term, fourth term, fifth term, 32 years in seat, 40 years on government seat, presidential seat, doing absolutely nothing other than destroying the future of the next generation. Greed. Because I don't simply believe that the black man cannot govern himself. It is a fallacy, it is a lie. The thing is that the people who designed from the Berlin Conference, who designed everything about colonialism, made it so much so that the worst of people will find themselves in government, and they engineer this with their regime change rubbish. Okay, let's talk about civic education, because we are talking about how to address this issue. Civic education. Now, integrating civic education into school curricula and the supporting NGOs to promote awareness of citizens' rights would empower the public to demand better governance. And I'm glad in 2025, people are now waking up. The awareness is there. People are now speaking up. Thanks to such people who are speaking up for bad governance in Nigeria and the anyhowness in the Nigerian system. People like the Very Dark Man and Rico, who are speaking up against those things. Peter for Nigeria and so many other people. The man in Arise TV and the lady there, Ojiokwe and Rufai. Some of those people speak vehemently about the ills of the government, irrespective of who is standing there. They tell you the truth to your face. Another thing is judicial independence. If we don't get this, ensuring the judiciary operates independently could restore the faith in the rule of law. countering the perception of arbitrary governance. Now, in conclusion, anyhowness in the Nigerian system reflects deep-seated issues of corruption, institutional weakness, and disconnect between the government and the people. While the government structure is often democratic, its practices often deviate, leading to inefficiency and ethnic diversity, distrust, and lack of faith in the government. Historical legacies, ethnic diversities, and economic challenges exacerbate this perception. But civil society push for accountability so that we can get a good government in Nigeria. And it's not just about the government. Later, we shall talk about the anyhowness with the Nigerian people, Nigerian populace. It's not just the government. Where people do things anyhow, throw dirt on the road, defecate, open defecation, and so many other things. Pollution of the environment and, trying to maneuver rules, driving recklessly, and so many other things. So when we talk about anyhowness, it's not just about the government, it's about we, generally as Nigerians and as Africans in general. So let me know in the comment section what you think we can do, your suggestions of what we can do to remedy this situation of doing things anyhow, from the highest seat in Nigerian government down to you see how our constitution was tossed aside in the case of in a democratic system where an elected governor is suspended. Where does it happen? Which constitution orders that? These are what we call anyhowness. You see EFCC, you see police, you see every of these things, the judiciary, all of them. The Senate now sings "On your mandate we shall stand," replacing the national anthem. Anyhowness. And because they feel that Nigerians cannot do anything, that Nigerians are docile, that's why it is happening. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Remember to subscribe, to like, to share, and to comment. This is Diary of a Broken Man, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers.